Ah yes, the Delhi Capitals, one of the IPL's most pitiful and laughable franchises. Every shred of hope that this team has had for a season and its future has been slowly diminished by one of the most snake-bitten and unlucky organizations in the history of the Indian Premier League. They started out in the league as the Delhi Daredevils and were actually pretty alright, quickly setting themselves as one of the marquee teams in the tournament. Their initial years in the league were positive, with IPL legends such as Virender Sehwag, AB de Villiers and Ashish Nehra, as well as young talents in Glenn Maxwell and Aaron Finch. But the trophy remained elusive for a team that had gotten unlucky so many times in the playoffs. The years leading up to 2015 were forgettable, and through 2015, 2016, 2017, and 2018, the team was slowly building to become a juggernaut. And in 2019, the team's name changed to the Delhi Capitals, a name that would also bring along with it a new era in Capitals cricket. That year, the Delhi Capitals made qualifier 2, and in 2020 they would move into the final where they would again lose to schoolyard bullies MI. But then, in 2021, it was finally perceived to be their time. And again, it didn't happen for a team with so much promise. 2022, however, was a real turning point for the franchise. Not in a good way, though. The once thriving Delhi Capitals seemed out of sync and put up a very underwhelming performance in the face of claims for them to be yet another playoff favorite this season. In contrast to previous seasons where the team was within reaching distance of the ever-elusive IPL trophy, this year, DC was made to scrap for every victory and a chance at the playoffs towards the end of the season. The team struggled in its very first year without Shreyas Iyer since 2015, and under previously successful captain Rishabh Pant, there were claims of mismanagement within the on-field play. There were a lot of positives, such as Kuldeep Yadav's incredible 21-wicket season and Khalil Ahmed's retention of form, but it just seemed that adversity outlasted anything that was going well within the DC camp. Injuries, illnesses, and individual player form struggles would prove to be problematic for Delhi as they got off to a rocky start in the first 7 games of the season. Key players like Shardul Thakur and Robman Powell failed to find consistency in their play, and these players were mainly subs, so it left Delhi with many holes in their starting lineup. The absence of Shreyas Iyer was felt as both Lalit Yadav and Mandeep Singh were tried and tested in the position. The team eventually saw potential in the hard-hitting Sarfaraz Khan, but it was too late in the season for him to make an indelible impact. Injuries would bother them further, with informed players such as Prithvi Shaw and Khalil Ahmed having to sit out for their fair share of games. Additionally, Rishabh Pant's shortcomings as captain were put into the limelight, as he lacked in his decision-making skills sometimes, and his overall value of play decreased as well, as he failed to deal with the pressure of having to bat in crunch situations. And while his numbers were not horrible by any means, much more is to be expected out of a player that houses so much talent. Without Pant's contribution, the team struggled to win tightly contested games throughout the course of the season. The international investments did their job for the most part, as David Warner and Mitchell Marsh had good runs of form throughout the season and were consistent if nothing else. This gave DC a fighting chance moving into the last day of league stage games, and with RCB having beaten the Gujarat Titans prior, their fate was in their own hands. They had to pull off a win against the Mumbai Indians at the Wankhede, a feat that proved to be out of their reach as they would end up yet again letting go of a tightly contested match, losing out in a run defense at the hands of the promising MI batsman Tim David. It was painful, especially since RCB were the benefactors of the choke. So what about this season? Well, it's tough to say, but one thing that can be definitively said is that this team is not ready to hoist that trophy yet. And with Rishabh Pant's devastating injury and the shift in the captaincy paradigm to David Warner, it's going to be hard to bet on this team to make much of an impact on the IPL landscape this year. But that being said, you shouldn't count them out just yet. David Warner has seen success as a captain with SRH, and we saw the rise in form of key players like Rovman Powell, Shardul Thakur, and Khalil Ahmed. With youngster Prithvi Shaw on the regular opening roster, this team is still incredibly strong. Not to mention their wonderful auction, in which they picked up one of the best comeback bowlers of 2022 in Lungi and Giri. Still weird to think about him in a DC jersey. And 5.5 crore all-rounder by Mukesh Kumar. Things are looking up to the point that you can't conclusively state that Delhi is bereft of hope for 2023. I can't say that this team has a solid chance of going to the final or even winning it all on paper, but stacking up the numbers can only take you so far. It really depends on whether or not these players can hit their stride and maintain their consistency from the get-go, because this is a very talented Delhi lineup with a lot of potential, even with the tragic absence of their star captain, and their performance will ultimately base itself on their consistency and ability to win tightly contested matches. Choosing the starting 11 for this team wasn't a straightforward process, but eventually I came to a conclusion. I have Prithvi Shaw and David Warner opening the batting as almost legacy openers at this point, that I think can provide the team with some solid starts up front. Then at number 3 I have Manish Pandey, who dazzled with the bat in seasons past and is worth giving a chance even if he is past his prime. At number 4 I have promising English batsman Phil Salt, who could be explored as the answer to Delhi's long search for Shreyas's replacement. Additionally, he seems to be the only answer for a wicketkeeper amidst the absence of Rishabh Pant. Mitchell Marsh comes in at number 5 for his run of form in last year's edition of the tournament. Number 6 will feature Akshar Patel, an internationally capped superstar with a particular affection for big hitting and great middle overs bowling. Number 7 will see Sarfaraz Khan getting the start, as we saw last year that he could potentially be the long-term replacement for Shreyas Iyer that Delhi is looking for. Lungi Ngidi comes in at number 8, being a bowler whose form has become more reliable in recent times. Chetan Sakaria is a player whose progress I've been following since 2021, and in my opinion deserves a chance to bowl in the power play, and a player that can come in at number 9. Then Khalil Ahmed at number 10, a player who hit his stride effectively last season. And an obvious choice in Kuldeep Yadav for number 11, a devastating pace bowler who I think has found a home in Delhi. So that's it for Delhi. Check out my Instagram for behind the scenes updates on the series as they come. That's all for now. Delhi fans, you can try your best to roar this year, but I don't know.